not on. Other part of the thing.
Okay,
How come I can't see me?
you're not, your camera is not on, I guess.
How do I do that?
No, not us.
I know, I'm just wiping it to make it more clear.
No, it doesn't work.
Your camera is not on. We're on, but you're not on for whatever reason.
How do I do my camera?
Not sure.
Do you want to play the recording?
No.
The recording is paused.
Yeah.
Play.
Camera? I don't know.
You just have to press your camera thing on camera.
Where is it, camera?
Are you on a phone or on a computer?
On the iPad?
On the iPad, it should be on the bottom right, the bottom left, I think.
Okay, we're gonna light the candle.
Enjoy.
Yeah, you can light it. Wait, I need a napkin. Oh, here. This is perfect for this. You want to hold it also?
That's
Why?
Can I hold it?
Yeah, sure.
Unless anyone else wants.
No, you can hold it.
Hey,
Here.
Okay, so again, Shavua Tov, welcome on Zoom and Facebook as we do the Havdallah.
You're too close to Rosie.
And then our story, the start of our week.
Not you want to come into the picture.
Hine Yeshua si yeftach v'lo yefchod ki aziv zimras yo Adonai v'yehi l'Yeshua shiafte mayim b'sotzayin Mimayne Yeshua, Ladayna Yeshua, Lamcha Birchasecha, Selo Adonai Tzvaos, Imanu Mitzgavlanu Elohe Yaakov Selo Adonai Tzvaos Ashrei Adam Baiteh Eyarbach Adonai HaYeshia HaMelech Yaneinu Ay V'yayim Kareinu Yehudim Haisa Ayra V'Simcha V'Sasa V'Ikar Kedi Elon U'Ketur Sesa V'Shemana Yekros Avimuranon V'Rachato Adonai Eloheinu Melech Ha'olam Beirei Pri Hagafen V'Rachato Adonai Eloheinu Melech Ha'olam Beirei Minei B'Samim V'Rachato Adonai Eloheinu Melech Ha'olam Beirei Beirei Yovesh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamavdil ben kodesh lechoel ben ner lechoshev Yisrael Amin. Ben Yahweh Mashvi l'sheshes yemei hamazeh. Baruch atah Adonai hamavdil ben kodesh lechoel. We'll put out the fire. We take the blessings. Take the blessings from the Havdallah for wisdom, parnasa, happiness, nachas, and obviously for the Geula, for Mashiach's coming quickly in our days. This week, for sure. We'll make the bracha achroina. Then we'll continue with our story. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Allah give up prayer gafen va nu zal vet khamet have khabershis ul khav la vesen ul kham of yos ben zmor khem no len shol ma khav sham rekh va sim kan kada khav ba khav ba khala kham shloim re kaj mer men len khav tshen ba ula khad shof tara ki ato ad noitem mit la kan all that all prayer gafen ne alert va pri hagafen. So again Shavua Tov everyone, and tonight I want to share you with you a story from the Baal Shem Tov. As we know, the whole custom began of the Matzoi Shabbos, Saturday night, telling a story of the Baal Shem Tov. And then it was sort of expanded to the story of any tzaddik, any righteous person that through their miracles or something about them to inspire us to go into the week, realizing that it's Hashem's world and Hashem should make for us miracles and lead us very clearly throughout our week to have the success we need in the most beautiful and special way. So the story that I'm telling you goes back obviously to the times of the Baal Shem Tov, close to 300 years ago. And a certain chassid of the Baal Shem Tov, whose name was David Firkus. So this Reb David was an ardent student of the Baal Shem Tov, a follower of the Baal Shem Tov. And it came a time in his life when things didn't, financially, things weren't going well, and he was in need of a lot of money to pay up debts, to take care of some responsibilities for his family, and not knowing what to do except to go to the Rebbe and to ask him to pray for him, to someone help him find his way out of the situation. He goes to the Baal Shem Tov and he cries out his heart to the Baal Shem Tov. He says, Rebbe, I have a big money problem. I need a lot of money. I need you to give me a bracha to help me. So the Baal Shem Tov says, go home. Everything will be all right. Hashem will take care of you. Have bitachon, have faith. Hashem will take care of you. Now, Rab David returned home satisfied. The Rebbe said that Hashem will look after him. He doesn't think twice. But some time passed and nothing was happening. There was no money coming in. There were no unusual events happening. He's still in the same problem. So he goes back to the Baal Shem Tov. He says, Rebbe, you told me a few months ago things will happen, but nothing is happening. Please, I need money. Help me. So the Rebbe says, don't worry. Go home, have faith, and everything will work itself out. Okay. His Rebbe told him he had full confidence. He had faith, and he went back, not letting it take over his life and anxiety. But a few months later, still nothing happened. So now he comes back to Baal Shem Tov. He says, Rebbe, thinking he's going to tell Rebbe, that's it. I can't have this promise. It will happen. It's getting worse and worse as time is going on. I need immediate help. As he was going to the Rebbe, he passed by a very nice wagon, horse and buggy. And as he's walking by, the fellow from the wagon calls out and says, "Excuse me, I'm looking for the Baal Shem Tov's house. Do you know where it is?" So Reb David says, "Follow me. We're very close." And the man followed him. That horse and buggy followed him. They go to the Baal Shem. They pull up at the same time to the Baal Shem Tov's house. Reb David walks into the house. This fellow is like getting out of his wagon, ready to go in, and the Baal Shem Tov is standing by the door. So Reb David walks in. He says, "Rebbe, it's the third time I'm here. I need your help. I have all the faith, but the faith doesn't help deal with my debtors and my responsibilities to my family. I need help." So the Rebbe turned to him and said, "I want to tell you a story." And he starts talking to Reb David while he's standing in the foyer, right at the entrance of his base medrash, his study. And this fellow was driving the horse and buggy, was right behind, standing behind, listening to the story. And he says like this: there was once a merchant, the Baal Shem Tov said, his business was lumber. It's common business in Eastern Europe. They used to cut lumber in the summer, and then they used to gather all the lumber, and then when it got cold and the waters froze, the lakes froze, they used to ship the lumber to where it had to go, and that's where they made their money. So once there was a big storm in many of the waters, and most of the merchants of lumber lost their money. They lost their lumber, they lost their money. But somehow this merchant was somehow able to keep his lumber secure, and he was able to avert the disaster that hit all of his business colleagues. And because of that, he was the only one left with lumber. He was able to demand a much higher price, and he made an incredible amount of money that year in his lumber. Anyways, he has all his money, he's on his way back home. So, going home with a lot of money, you gotta be careful. So he hired two people. He hired one person to watch over his money, and the other person to watch over his carriage and his horses. So wherever he goes, it's a long trip. So he has two security people. Anyways, these two security people started to talk to each other, and they realized if this man hired two of us, he must have a lot of money and a lot of things to protect. So they conspired that they're going to eventually, sometime during the trip, kill the guy and take the money and split it between themselves. But they had something to worry about. They had the driver to worry about, the wagon driver. So once they were in the forest and away from civilization, they distracted the wagon driver, and one of them killed the wagon driver. It was left for one of them to ride the wagon. They went a little deeper in the forest, and then they finally turned to the merchant. They say, "Your days are numbered. We are now going to take all your money and we're going to kill you." So when the merchant realized what's happening, he started to cry, and he says, "What are you doing? You can't do this to me. Forget about me. I have a wife and I have children at home. You can't just kill me like this. Take half my fortune. I'll give it to you." And they said, "No." He said, "Take my whole fortune. Just let me alive." They said, "We can't let you alive. We can't leave you alive, because if we leave you alive, you'll tell on us, and sooner or later they'll find us. So we can't leave you alive." So what they did was, realizing he's not getting where, he said, just give me a few minutes to say my last prayers. So they tied him to a tree so he wouldn't run away, and they let him say his last prayers. While he was tied to the tree saying his last prayers, all of a sudden they heard the noise of a lot of horses. The two guys got very scared. They dropped the money and whatever else. They started to run. He was tied to the tree, Nebuch. But before long, some of the people riding the horses passed by. They saw him. They untied him. "What are you doing?" He told them the whole story. Now, while he was praying to God, he said, "God, if you save me, I'm going to give half my fortune to the poor people, to charity." Anyways, they untied him. He told them what his story was, who he was. They were very nice to him. These people let him out of the forest, took him home, and he come home, and he was so happy, made a big feast. He invited the whole city to his feast. And at that night, he said that he promised going to give money to the poor people, and he took a quarter of his fortune that he made. And that night on the spot, he gave a quarter of his fortune to the people, to the poor people. Now, he also promised that he's going to give half. So he had another quarter left to go. But then he started to think, do I have to give the quarter of a fortune right now, the second? I can give a little by little. I can wait. There's no rush. Before long, he stopped giving charity. The money got to him, and he wasn't paying his debt to Hashem, the other quarter of the fortune. Not long after, his wife became very sick. And he started to have a lot of bills, doctor's bills, and the bills were piling up, spending a lot of money, and she's not getting better. So one day his wife says to him, it's not working, I'm not getting better. Go to the Baal Shem Tov and pray. He can pray and help people. Go to the Baal Shem Tov and pray. So as the Baal Shem Tov is finishing the story, the guy who was in the wagon turns to the Baal Shem Tov, because the story was about him. The Baal Shem Tov was telling Reb David the story of the guy in the wagon. Tells Baal Shem Tov, I'm here for my wife to come and ask you, what do I have to do for my wife to be better? So the Baal Shem Tov says, how much was the other 25% that you had to give to charity? Minus all the money you spent on your wife's bills, medical bills, and whatever the difference is, you have to give right now to charity. How much is it? He made a calculation. He said 4,000, whatever amount of coins it was, rubles. And Reb David, when he came to the Rebbe, he said he needed 4,000 rubles. He said, give this money to Reb David and everything will be fine. So he went back to his wagon. He counted the 4,000 rubles. He gave it to Reb David. Baal Shem Tov said, go home, everything will be fine. And Reb David went home, realizing that when it comes to Muni, you have to have faith in Hashem. He does it on his timing, not on your timing. If Hashem says, believe in him, a tzaddik gives you a bracha, it will happen. Just have to be patient. You have to wait, but it will happen. And for this fellow, he went home and he found his wife fully cured and feeling better. And now he not only gave the half that he already gave, but he started to give more charity, realizing that at the end of the day, that his success is great, but the only way to have secure that everything will be good, not only monetary-wise, but health-wise and everything else, will have God's blessing, is if he does what he promises and more to give charity. So may Hashem help as we go out into our week, that we go out into the week with the right thoughts, that we're going to work hard and do what we have to do as Jews, the mitzvahs, the charity we have to do, the mitzvahs we have to do for Hashem, those that we do between people. And then Hashem will help that we'll have the full blessing of the week in the most beautiful and happiest way. So we'll finish off with singing Eliyahu Navi, that he should bring Mashiach right away. Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hatishbi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu Agiladi, B'meira Yavo Eleinu, Mashiach ben David. Imheira Yava Eleinu, Mashiach ben David, Mashiach ben David.
Shavua Tov, Shavua, everybody, Shavua Tov.
Yes, all
Good
the
luck
best.
with your
All the
vaccines.
best.
Everybody stay healthy.
Yes,
That's right.
stay
Thank you, you
healthy.
too.